first time back. Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending and for your patience as we start our first meeting since COVID hit. So I'll call the meeting to order at 7:10 on Tuesday, August the 17th. I would like to acknowledge and respect the fact that we're meeting on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree and the Anishinaabe, and the homeland of the Métis people. I would also like to thank Frank and the East Beaches social scene for opening their doors for this meeting, and thank all of you in the audience for following COVID protocols in place for this venue. We really appreciate that you showed your proof of double vaccination to our employee Anna at the door. And we would just like to remind you that masks are not mandatory. However, if you get up and move around, we recommend that masks are worn. And if you have to go to the washroom, please wear your mask and, of course, hand wash, etc. Further housekeeping, please turn your phones to vibrate and be respectful of the fact that we are here to conduct council business. A reminder that there is no longer a question period at any council meeting, but we certainly encourage residents to sign up as a delegation, send us an email, send in an e-service request, or give us a phone call on specific issues. And if all goes well, we are filming this meeting for uploading to our website. So introductions to my very far left.
Hi, I'm Councillor Mike Bartmanovich.
Steve Axworthy.
Raymond Moore, CAO.
Penny McMorris, Mayor.
I'm Graham Randall.
Erwin Kupka, it's great to be back.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, moving on to adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted with the following addition: purchase of bear-proof bins. May I have a mover? And we'll discuss it further. Any hands now? Thank you. Mike, thank you. Steve, second. Thank you. Any further additions or deletions to the agenda? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Minutes of the August 3rd, 2021 council meeting were circulated to all members. Be it resolved that the minutes of the August 3rd, 2021 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Second, Erwin, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We do not have any delegations today, so we'll move into committee reports, and we will start with Public Works. Councillor Bartmanovich, please.
Guess I better go with this. Thanks, Penny. Door-to-door garbage pickup continues until Tuesday, September 7th. Permanent residents who opt for a bear-resistant curbside bin can request curbside pickup from Public Works. The bear-resistant bins are available to order for $215. Order forms can be found on the RM website under the Forms and Documents tab, or you can drop me an email. My email address is on the website as well, and I will take care of you. And if you want curbside garbage pickup, starting May next year, you must have a bear-resistant bin or container. And that doesn't necessarily mean the bin that we are selling. If you feel you have a container that is bear-resistant already, I just ask that you take a photo of it, drop me an email, let me do an evaluation, and I will get back to you as to whether or not it is deemed to be bear resistant by our standards. Once again, funny we're staying with garbage, the big green bins, when you use them, please ensure as much as possible that the latches are re-engaged on the lids. We all know that we have an inordinate number of bears, and this is for a number of reasons, from drought and lack of food to COVID and lack of hunting the last couple of years. So therefore, we must be more mindful than ever about making sure that the bears don't develop bad habits by getting into our garbage. Well, why don't we just keep on with garbage? Chairs, sofas, fridges, stoves, dishwashers, hot water tanks, mattresses. Don't dump them in the public works yard. Please take them to the Traverse Bay disposal grounds. If you need a landfill pass, contact Public Works. It's free to take most anything except a mattress or anything with a compressor, like a cooling compressor. You may have to pay a slight discharge fee for things like that. Also, the deadline for ordering civic signs, those beautiful green glow-in-the-dark civic signs, so that emergency vehicles and police can know your address immediately in the pitchest of dark, just by shining their lights on the signs. You can order them up until Wednesday, September 8th. The signs are $60 each, and that is $60 installed this fall. Public Works has been inundated with reports of deadfall and toppled trees. They have a very long list of tree removals and maintenance on a lot of our walking paths, and they are doing their level best to get through the list as quickly as possible. I've seen a couple, but just to remind everyone that starting after the September long weekend, you can start putting brush out in front of your property alongside the roadway, please not on the roadway. And you can do that until Monday, October 18th, when the fall pickup begins. Preventative maintenance is always ongoing on all municipal equipment, and we continue to take water samples from the well at the fire hall, the Our Beach pump house, and the Victoria Beach water facility on a monthly basis. Oh, is it every 2 weeks for the, oh, I'm sorry, the Victoria Beach water facility is every 2 weeks.
No.
They don't say 2 weeks.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Well, even better, it's every 2 weeks, so good job on that. I think that's about Public Works. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Mike. Council have any questions on Public Works? Okay, thank you very much. Finance, Councilor Kunka.
There's been a delay in receiving the financial statement for the end of July, so I don't have a detailed report, but that will be forthcoming upon receipt of the information. You will remember at my last report, I mentioned that our cash balances had been lower than expected, but I want to say thank you to all ratepayers who have paid their taxes promptly, and we're back in the black. Our current cash balance stands at $4.1 million. Thank you very much for paying your taxes on a timely basis. I will point out that for those of you who have not paid your taxes at the end of July, there will be an interest penalty assessed on a monthly basis. So it's in your best interest. The interest rate is actually 15%. So it's a good idea to pay your taxes promptly.
Annual,
Annual,
not monthly.
50% annual. Thank you.
Any questions for Erwin? Thank you very much, Erwin. Moving on to protective services. Steve, do you want to start with the fire report?
The fire department was called out to 5 related calls in July. One call was at Victoria Beach. It was a structure fire. There were no injuries to anyone, but some smoke damage happened to the dwellings. There are also 3 grass brush fire calls in the RM of Alexander. All were contained and put out quickly. The other call into the RM of Alexander was for smoke setting in the area. This is thoroughly investigated and found it to have been smoke from the far Alexander area. The Victoria Beach Fire Department continues to check their gear and their equipment and are planning to get back into the regular training program and possibly start level 1 training program in fall for the new members. I also just want to add as well that I'm not sure if anybody's seen the videos and the pictures coming out of BC. You can't see the sun at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. This could be us if we don't get on top of managing our forest. BC was warned for years of the fire risk to their entire province, and unfortunately we see the outcome of that. We need to start jumping on forest management in RM. Conifers burn at a rate 5 to 10 times faster than deciduous trees. What we need to be doing right now is removing and replacing it. It doesn't mean that we have to destroy our forest. It just simply means that we need to convert it over to a young growth forest, which will substantially reduce our fire risk. And just a note from our fire chief, he's been very happy recently to see the message getting out, and a lot of residents are starting to pick up on the risk, especially since we're in a 5-year drought. But we still have to keep it going and slowly, again, convert our forest over to new growth forest.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions? Comments? Thank you very much. Mike, we're moving on to police. Is it going to be yourself or the gentleman that I...
Well, just to keep things exciting and for the benefit of our first live audience.
Public taxpayers' expense. But it's an open meeting, and I can't predict which way it's going to go. We're asking the public, what do you think? We have some ideas, but what do you think we should do with the Moonlight Inn? So I won't presume what the decision will be, but we have provided for various scenarios to carry it on through to fundraising and rehabilitation. As I've stated, this will be advertised widely well in advance. There were some concerns expressed about the condition of the Pier Point toilet, this has just come in fairly recently, and I'll be discussing that with Raymond. There's a couple of possibilities there we may have to implement. And that, brief as it is my municipal buildings report for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Graham on buildings? No? Thank you very much, Graham. Dr. Irwin?
Again, just we're very thankful that we were able to reestablish this year the doctor's clinic, and it is operated over the summer. I believe there's one more week which will continue to operate, and it's just great to have that facility. I want to again thank the committee that works diligently to maintain the facility, restore, clean things up. Things are coming along nicely.
Any questions for Irwin? All right. Thank you very much. Communications, Steve and Mike?
I mean, we're back.
Yeah.
There's your biggest news. I don't really have anything other than that.
Well, we continue to keep the website as updated as possible, as well as the Facebook page. We had a very nice turnout for the Coffee with Council this past Saturday outside the Country Market, and we're looking forward to doing another one on the Labor Day long weekend. We hope that folks will come out and join us. And please sign up for VB Connect if you have not yet signed up for VB Connect. Thank you.
I just wanted to reiterate, going back to the fire report and the mention of the fire risk, is that so what the Connect system does, if anybody's not familiar yet, is that when, it's not if, it's when there is a wildfire in Victoria Beach, you will be notified immediately. And essentially our fire chief will be able to activate it. We're looking at the fall now to be able to get the final part of the system set up. So the idea is that we will define the different zones around on a digital map. So everything will be preset, because if a fire is on the west side and you're on the east side over by Wanasing, you probably should, although again, this is just hypothetical right now, you probably should be taking the highway to evacuate. Other people might have to go down the water. People, don't want to go down the highway because you don't want them clogging everything up. So it allows for a preset system. So our fire chief, all he has to do is go onto the app, click where the fire is, which is in the preset settings, send it out to everybody. You'll get a phone call, you'll get an email, and you'll get a text message all at once. So that means that your home phone will go off, but also your cell phone will go off. So depending on where you are in the RM with your cell phone, it's not going to give you text messages and I'm over on the northwest side, that's my home, and right now I'm on the southeast side, but I'm still going to get the northwest side. You are going to get it based on where you are. So it is probably the strongest life-saving tool we have. And again, please sign up for it because it can save your life.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions, comments?
How do you sign up for it?
It's on our website. If you go onto the website, you scroll down to the bottom, there's a line that says VD Connect, and you click on that and sign up. If you have any query, any questions or problems, you can contact the RM office and they can walk you through it or fill out the form on your behalf.
And sorry, just one more thing. Put your Victoria Beach address down, please.
Yes, your Victoria Beach address.
It doesn't help if you put if you put another address down. It needs to be your Victoria Beach address.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Summer Information Office. The ladies have done a great job dealing with contractors, residents, and visitors wanting vehicle passes and information on our community. And I'd like to thank Anna. I'm sure she left, but she was checking for double vaccination status out front for us tonight as an extra job. So we appreciate that. It's been brought to our attention that we need to update our maps and provide better notification of our limited amenities and services, our beaches, etc. So that's something we will work on for next summer. And a reminder to residents and contractors that a vehicle pass is a privilege. It is not a right, and our bylaws, regulations, and speed limits must be followed, or your pass can be revoked. Any abusive behavior towards our staff, which thankfully is few and far between, but nevertheless does happen, will not be tolerated, and it will be reported to the BC Police. So thank you for your attention to that matter. Any questions? All right, Building Inspector, Mr. Randall.
Our building inspector report, courtesy of Mr. Curtis Beaublanc, our building inspector, for the month of July. New permits, 3 main buildings, 1 bunkhouse, 3 sheds, 1 skirting, 1 addition, 3 decks, 2 fences, 1 renovation, 1 handicap ramp, 1 garage, 1 driveway, and 1 development plan. And we're pleased to see that because we do have a development permit that's somewhat distinct from a building permit. The value of permits for the month of July were $669,000, and the permit fees collected were $10,067. And the part that I like, and Irving gets a kick out of it as well, total value of permits year to date, $6,357,000. Total fees collected so far to date, $63,708. So my thanks to Curtis for providing this data, and that's my building inspector's report.
Any questions or comments? No. Thank you. He's a busy guy. Accessibility, as Graham referred to earlier, we are waiting to hear back on a grant application to refurbish and renovate the log cottage in front of the Moonlight Inn. This project has been discussed with our building inspector, who is a journeyman plumber, our accessibility committee and council. This building has been used as a land sales office, a laundromat, a pinball arcade, a bunkhouse with a soft-sided hot tub inside, and recently as a separate dining option for the Moonlight. This project, as Graham mentioned, would see the existing log structure and original windows stay as they are. Wider doors may be needed to accommodate mobility devices. There is already a washroom in the building and an existing holding tank in place. The washrooms would be located, if we use our current plan, on the wall that faces the bush away from the Moonlight Inn, and appropriate venting is part of the plan. So future use and renovations of the Moonlight Inn could include outdoor decking to join the Moonlight and the log cottage to allow for easier access and increased seating capacity for the Moonlight, and of course better accessibility flow. So we feel it's a very worthwhile project, and we're hopeful that we'll hear soon about the grant. And that is accessibility for...
Well, the only other thing, if I may, just to expand slightly on what you've said, Eddie, we have to remember that with the accessible community washroom project, the feds are paying 75% of the bill. So if we can get a valuable amenity of use to every resident of the beach for 25 cents on the dollar, that's pretty hard to say no to. So we do hope it comes through.
And there was some discussion in correspondence about expanding the existing tennis courts, playground washrooms. That was looked at and was deemed not feasible. And we have not contemplated an entirely new building, as the existing Long Cottage is available. It does need a bit of work for whatever we use it for, but we felt that it was a prime location and a good spot to provide community accessible washrooms. All right, that is accessibility. Any questions?
Again, just to clarify, the washroom will be for all of our residents, it's not just an accessibility. As the grandfather of 6 granddaughters, having a washroom closer is a real problem.
All right, thank you very much. Heritage and Trails.
The volunteer award is still up, so if anybody knows any volunteers from the community that deserve our recognition, then there is a form online that you can fill out, and they will be recognized. The two awards that were awarded this year should be in the latest issue of the Herald. So again, these are people who've been working a long time in our community. Some of them I know are quite humble, and will say, well, you know, what I do is not that big of a deal. Well, it is a very big deal, because you know, social scene, community center, all the different things that make Victoria Beach quite special. That we would not be able to be fully functional if we didn't have all the volunteers. So there are those who are outstanding, and please submit your applications for it. For the trails, Trails and Heritage, again, I just need some way to get those 2 websites done, or the 2 pages done, because with Trails, I can't hold the liability on my own. So, you know, I'm just asking that maybe we get somebody who just graduated high school, needs a job for a couple weeks, and we can come in and do it, but somehow I need those 2 pages to get done. Aside from that, I don't really have too much.
Any comments, questions?
Steve, is there any thought being given to having some sort of a recognition event for the outstanding volunteers that we have? I know that COVID has not prevented that from happening, but you know, I think it would be a very good idea.
Yeah, so that was the original plan, but this is the first year that we were announcing them, so it simply wasn't possible. I mean, perhaps next year we could do everyone, so for the winners next year and the ones this year. Yeah, unfortunately this year we weren't able to do it, because the whole idea was to have it down in the Village Green, around that platform, let's call it that memorial. Yeah.
All right.
One more question. Is any of the required functionality, would you be able to do it with a Facebook page for Heritage and one for Trails while you get a final design down, and see whether or not our service providers can actually create it for you?
Yeah, for Heritage, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. The biggest issue is that, so for Heritage, what everybody needs to understand here is that when I was going out and digitizing all the images, I ran up a bill which I never charged to the RM of several $1,000s. It's not a cheap process, and so other municipalities have done something very similar, whereby you can just simply submit pictures, but all of that material needs to go into some sort of system where it can be cataloged. Otherwise, me or a volunteer or somebody is going to have to organize all of those images, and you want a story that's attached and associated to that picture. You don't just want some random picture, because that doesn't mean anything to anybody. And somebody in 40, 50 years is going to look at that picture and to say, oh, that's nice, but they don't understand. So we could. It's just then you have that fairly serious problem. The original idea too was to get actual artifacts, but again, there's a registration method that you have to go by. Otherwise, it just becomes a really large issue. And other arms who have done some sort of heritage system where they are taking artifacts have had problems where not everything has been checked off. And so to do it through a Facebook site, I mean, if there's anything else, I would say, sure, let's go ahead. But there is a system that you need in place to do it properly. With trails, the biggest issue, and we could, but if it's not done through the RM site, then there's a liability issue for myself, unless, I suppose, if the RM is the one who sets up the Facebook site, then that shouldn't be that big of a deal. But we need a proper registration, ensure that they have, and Brad is also willing to train for chainsaw safety, but that they have certain certificates just so that they're safe. We know who has what, and then we know when somebody's working on the system, and so we can get all of that done. But if I do any of that liability, all of it comes down to me. Or if I do any of that system for me, or by myself, then all the liability is on me, not the RM. And if somebody gets hurt, then I'm the one who they're coming to. Versus if we can.
You do it as a counselor.
Exactly. Well, doing it as a counselor, but still, there's a lot of liability issues. So it's just a lot easier if it's done through the website.
I'm satisfied, thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Hearing nothing further, motion to accept the committee reports. Be it resolved that the August committee reports be accepted as presented. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Second? Steve, thank you. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to add a few words to Mike's very good but brief description of coffee with council. We've been promising this for a year and a half. We were very, very happy that we were able to put it together. We had 25 or so people, some briefly, some for an extended period of time. In our minds, it was a complete success, and we want to expand on it, grow it, develop it. We want to invite you to the next Coffee with Council. Most people would start off by saying, thank you for doing a very nice job, yada, yada, yada. And what we're waiting for is the but, what can we do different? What can we change? So we're open to suggestions, comments, criticisms, and we have to, it's all very well to listen to people, but you have to be seen listening to them. So Coffee with Council is a big deal for us. I hope you'll come. Thank you.
Just making coffee and donuts.
We'll be there.
You didn't have to empty out that bloody drink. I probably did that. Thanks.
Thanks very much. All right, all those in favor of the August committee reports? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to accounts and finances, be it resolved that the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Accounts payable checks 9493 to 9548 in the amount of $1,804,000.
Yes, I know, I choked on that too.
Wow. $1,804,694.86. August 6th payroll in the amount of $62,864.53. And Visa in the amount of $2,343.75. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second?
I'll second that.
Graham, thank you. Erwin, do you want to explain how we spent $1,800,000?
Well, of the 1.8 million, 1.7 million is going to the Lord Suffolk School District. In August, when this check goes out, I just kind of groan, my goodness, for what, 7 or 8 students? There is some possibility of change taking place in the future, which we'll speak to in later correspondence, but that's a huge, that's almost half of our taxes, and that's just our first installment. We will be paying more money later on in the year, so that's where probably half of our tax dollars go. And it's kind of sad.
Steve?
Just, sorry, to Erwin's point about, and yeah, it sucks to have to pay that much, especially since taxes should be on income and not property. But I do just want to mention that for this year, there's been such a massive shortfall to educators that they've had to fire teachers across the board, and the job boards are blank. So I understand that it's 1.7 million, but it's our share to be able to give a future to kids. And it's hard, but that's the way the system is right now. It does need to change, but we should take some joy in the fact that we are giving a future to kids.
Thank you, Steve. Any further comments? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. No business arising from the previous meeting. Other business, bylaw 1625. Be it resolved that bylaw 1625 restricting the consumption of municipal water be given first reading. And this has been circulated to all the council. May I have a mover? Steve, second, Mike?
Sure.
Thank you. Any discussion on this bylaw?
Just to clarify, this is restriction on the use of municipal water when restrictions must be applied. Drug situations, fire bans being imposed, situations like this. Whenever it needs to be done.
And our residents deserve a pat on the back because we have asked them to conserve water in the last few weeks, and they have done that, and it has made a big impact on the water being used out of our water treatment plants. So many thanks.
Absolutely. The residents have been very cooperative, but as a future precaution, we thought it would be prudent if we had a bylaw that allowed us to invoke restriction on water services if we ever have to implement it as an urgent emergency. Now, there was nothing in our bylaws that enabled us to, but this more clearly defines it in the context of during the fire ban. Yep. Sorry.
What is
And
new?
to be clear, we're talking about the watering of lawns. You can still use your hose to water your plants and vegetables. We're just putting a restriction on watering the lawns during the fire ban.
Yeah, point number 3 is new, and it's lawn watering shall be prohibited at all times when a fire ban is in place for the municipality. Any further discussion?
So I am happy that we're doing this because one of the things that I don't think people necessarily understand is that the vast majority of our water goes to watering, like watering our lawns and plants. So especially during times where it's quite dry, our water system is almost running at 100% capacity. And if it goes over that, then we have serious trouble on our hands. When the water system is working that hard for, I suppose as long as there's a drought situation, it's starting to have some real wear and tear on the system. And so you don't want to run it at 100% capacity the same way you want to take your car on the highway and just redline it and just leave it there. Something's going to give. So I'm fine with saying that you wouldn't be allowed to water your lawn during when there's a fire ban. My only problem is that the biggest risk to the community is the trees and bushes, and so you need to keep those hydrated. And I understand that we're separating between grass and shrubs. So, we've talked many times about having to ensure that something is enforceable, but I see a lot of people justifying watering their lawn by saying, "Oh, I forgot to put it so that the spray is only going towards the trees," and trying to get away with things because it's what people do generally. Nobody wants to assume that or nobody wants to say that I'm wrong, and especially you don't want that $500 fine. So again, if we say that if we allow for drip, soaker hose, subsurface irrigation, or handheld irrigation, then that eliminates all the problems, and it's extremely enforceable because these things you would never see from the road because they're all on the ground or underneath of the ground. Or handheld is just, I mean, it's very limited. But when you're using spray, that is the biggest problem because it uses 80% more water. So if we allow for drip, soaker hose, subsurface, and handheld, then we allow people to still irrigate their shrubs, their bushes, their trees. There's very little issue with it. You know who's violating it because spray irrigation you can just see from the road. So I just, again, I'm fine with this, but I would just like to make the amendment, and I'm more than willing to vote for this right now, but I'd like to make the amendment for second reading that we include those four, so that way we give some options, some good solid options to residents to keep their lawns hydrated, but then also take off that demand on the water system, because again, it will reduce the burden on the water system by 60 to 80%.
But if you have residents, or if you have in the bylaw, you cannot water during the fire burning. There's no question, there's no issue, that's it. And it's not 60% or 80%, it's 100% watering.
Of the lawn, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then people are going to be watering their trees, and then, you know, oh, I didn't realize it was going all the way around, or like.
Any lawn watering, so if you've got a sprinkler going, you're watering your lawn.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly, and,
Or whatever you may call your lawn.
yep, and if we are obliged to impose this, you stand the risk of drawing the attention of the sprinkler police, right, Stuart?
Absolutely.
They're out there, they'll get you. Don't water your lawn.
I mean, we can talk about this further between now and second reading, but
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm fine to vote for this now. I just really want to impress. I think that this would be like the best option with what we've put in here to go one step further. So it's just, it allows for exactly what we're trying to do, which is to reduce the burden on the watering system and have something that is very enforceable.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of first reading? Carried. Thank you.
Now we can all talk about it.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to the public hearing, zoning bylaw 1622. Be it resolved that the public hearing for zoning bylaw 1622 be held on Saturday, September 25th, 2021 at 1 p.m. here at the Social Scene in Victoria Beach. May I have a mover? Steve, thank you. Second? Graham, thank you. Any discussion? Just to advise residents, this is the 60-plus page zoning bylaw that's available on our website for review. It involves and impacts any renovation, any demolition, any updates you want to make to your property, and what zone you're in. Anything to do with building or demolition in our municipality relies on this file. So it's a big one. It's been 4 years in the making. The previous council and this council have been working on it with provincial planning. So we're very pleased to finally be able to bring it to the public for a public hearing on September 25th.
Raymond, could you perhaps explain to our readers what the process would be for introducing amendments? Should that be the wish of the case here?
Well, the public hearing's held, it's recorded in terms of all the presenters. Council then decides after the public hearing if they're going to give the bylaw a second reading as is, or if they're going to amend it. If council amends it and the province defines it as a significant amendment, then we have to re-advertise, hold a public hearing, and go from there in terms of subsequent objections, which would be referred to the municipal board. So this is the starting step where it's going to be advertised in the Winnipeg Free Press, it'll be on our website, Connect, Facebook, our Facebook page, and that's the opportunity for people to make presentations or file objections in terms of the contents of the bylaw.
What's the process for someone who might want to present, make a representation at the public hearing? What's the process to follow?
You just show up at the hearing. Show up at the hearing, you can send an email, you can send something in writing in advance, you can do both. Show up at the hearing and provide the written content of your submission. But that's the
The written content is not required.
No, but it's
It's
helpful.
preferred.
It's helpful, and there's no appointments. I mean, it's a hearing, you come at one, and then you're heard.
And just to remind everyone, as you probably know, with any of our bylaws, once it passes first reading, it's public. It goes up on the website for everybody to see and comment on or yell at us or whatever. So now that we've got first reading out of the way, we're able to proceed with the zoning hearing.
And I'm sure there is something for all of us in it.
All right, any further comments, gentlemen? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. September 7th, council meeting. Be it resolved that the September 7th, 2021 regular council meeting be held at East Beaches Social Scene at 7 p.m. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Second? Mike, thank you. Any further discussion?
I just think it's great that we're able to meet back at the beach. It's been a long hiatus, and this is one more opportunity for local people and cottagers to come up to a council meeting.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, be it resolved that Mayor McMorris be reimbursed for attending the White Shell Laboratories Community Regenerating Partnership meeting held in Pinawa on August 11th to 2021 per the terms of bylaw 1613. May I have a mover, please? Graham, thank you. Second? Mike, thank you. I can advise council that I did attend this meeting last Wednesday in the beautiful town of Pinawa. And it was to inform communities and municipalities about a nuclear energy resource plan to build small modular reactors for remote northern and mining communities who now rely on diesel fuel and diesel generators for some of their power sources. They recently received positive support from levels of government, and the economic benefits, they say, will be substantial for the region. I'm not knowledgeable on nuclear energy, but I do appreciate that fossil fuels may not be the best way forward. They claim this technology could improve the health and costs of living in remote communities by producing enough nuclear power to fuel greenhouses so they can grow their own vegetables, power the lights and the heat, and even treat water. So I look forward to hearing more. And Pinawa has the infrastructure, and they have the expertise to get this project off the ground, and they're quickly gaining expertise and becoming known as a world leader in this endeavor. So I do support it, even though I know very little about nuclear, but they claim they've learned a lot over the years, and the bad rap that nuclear energy used to get has been somewhat debunked, although I know not everyone is a fan. So that was the leading energy.
To clarify, these are micro reactors. They're tiny in size, but extremely powerful. And, Canada has developed a reputation for building safe reactors. The Canada reactor has an excellent track record. So I think it's an interesting opportunity for the town of Pinawa to leverage on their expertise that they've developed over 30 years of research.
It should be noted, though, that there's still no safe way to store the nuclear waste, and that there's been no consensus as to how you prevent future generations from running across a stockpile. So, anyway.
There are also Canadian companies that specialize in disposal. But anyway, point of order. This resolution is about compensating you for your time and allowance, please. Thank you.
I just thought I'd let you know where I was. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you very much. Up next, purchase of bear-proof bins. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council authorized the purchase of bear-proof bins from Cypress Industries as follows: 3 singles for $706 per bin, 2 doubles for $1,281 per bin, excluding taxes and delivery. May I have a mover?
Oh, yeah.
Grant, thank you. Grant, second. Thank you. And these are for high use areas in the community. And I saw them in a lot when I was there for the nuclear one.
This comes in part from suggestions from our residents that there are a number of public sites that needed a bigger bin to accommodate more materials. So it's a good initiative, and I'm glad Mike was able to get them on order. Or will be.
They will be on order once we advise them tomorrow if this resolution passes. So, but I forget, did I call for a mover and a seconder? Yes, I did. Any further discussion?
How will they be serviced?
They are a latch system. You open the back and you pull out the bag. I've talked to Trevor about it, and he has seen some of them, and he agrees that it would be a good addition. So how they're serviced, I will leave up to him, but they are easy to open. I even opened one up when I was in a while. Very easy to do.
Even you.
Even I could do it, but not a bear.
Now, just to clarify, these are not the bear-resistant curbside bins. These are the large and metal bins that you see in like national parks and that sort of thing. They're stationary. They're mounted to a concrete slab, and they're serviced on a regular basis by staff.
Yeah, they would need to be empty fairly frequently.
Fairly.
Yeah.
Can you comment on where they're to be located?
I talked to Trevor about that today. We're only ordering 3 singles and 2 doubles because that's all they have in stock at the moment. But we were looking at in front of the Moonlight, the store, the bakery, the pier. I know the parking lot would be able to use one. We have talked about some beach access areas, but I think we need to have a better plan for that because we have a lot of beach access areas. And they would need to be easily accessible for public works to empty. But that's definitely a possibility. We can definitely get more, order more. Do you have any other suggestions for locations? I'm sure. Yeah.
Hopefully that we can, if we go with them, that we can spread them out a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
disperse them a little further afield in the RM.
Oh, I agree. But to start with, we were only getting the 5 bins, so, but yeah, for sure, it needs to go around the
Let's
area.
see how it goes, and we can expand on that.
We're going to need to expand on that very quickly. Okay.
I'll see how the budget line looks. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Correspondence, gentlemen. Carmen?
This item was brought up at the council. Back on July 6th, council passed resolution 2021-149, which indicated that the council, the Rural Municipality of Victoria Beach, was opposed to Bill 64, which is the Education Reform Act. There are elements of that proposed legislation which are, in my view, and I believe in the view of many of my colleagues, beneficial to Victoria Beach, specifically the removal of education tax from the property tax rolls. There are other elements of the proposed legislation which we are challenged with, but I want to make it clear that a number of my colleagues are in favor of having education taxes taken off of the property tax. And, I was asked to clarify that point by a number of our residents.
Thank you. And our minutes read that the resolution was that RMVB be on record as opposing Bill 64. As everyone pointed out, it was by no means an uncategorical or an all-inclusive approval. Our intent was to show support for the North Southbridge School Division, but it was not unqualified support. Most of us still believe, and this only serves to put it on record, that the initiatives to take the taxes off the property taxes should proceed, and I can't imagine us doing anything to deter that.
Just to be very clear, Bill 64 was supposed to only, at its core, do that. And what it turned into was a fundamental tearing apart of the education system and the ramifications of what it has and is doing to education will be felt for the next several generations if it stays in place. It is vile and it cannot go forward. Fortunately, there's 2 more years, so it's going to.
Thank you. Any other correspondence, John?
Oddly enough, coffee with council was a fountain of information.
Just a couple of things that really stood out. A couple of residents pointed out that we need more beach patrolling. We have so many police, so many constables. I have talked to Chief McPherson, and he is aware of the need for a presence on the beaches. But one of the residents told me that we used to have such a thing as like a beach patrol. They weren't really police; they were like beach patrol. Have I got that right? No? Okay. Well, it's about darn time we had one. So I would like to propose that we work on a program like this, so that we can provide the additional beach coverage that we need as more and more people discover this jewel that is Victoria Beach. Another one that again we really have to get our shirt sleeves rolled up on is the issue of deadfall on both public and private property, and we have to come up with a program where we all work together to get rid of the deadfall in our municipality.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Yeah, there were a couple of comments about the bear-proof bins. Some of them are really good, and very happy that we're doing something to try to limit the bears. And a couple of them are a little bit more frustrated with having to spend a little bit of money to try to prevent the bears from coming into our community. I just wanted to read something real quick. It's only a small paragraph from the Canadian Wildlife Federation, because it might give a little bit of clarity as to why moving bears doesn't work. So I'm just going to quote here. The fact is, relocating bears is neither reliable nor a long-term management solution. In BC, for example, black bear long-distance relocation is no longer considered a viable option. Bears have large ranges and will seek out reliable sources of food. They'll often travel to impressive distances back to the area where the problems began, or resume the same behavior in their new location. In addition, the relocated bears can experience significant stress caused by capture itself, as well as from trying to find food in 9 sites in its new area. Sometimes the newcomer succumbs to lethal confrontations with other bears already occupying the space. The high cost of relocation, coupled with the low rate of success, basically translates into a very expensive, time-intensive exercise in futility. The system that we have in place right now does not work. Those bears are going to die, and they're either going to die by trying to get back to Victoria Beach, where they have accepted this is their food place, or when they return, we will shoot them. That's the reality. So I can definitely understand that a lot of people who want curbside pickup don't necessarily want to spend a couple $100 for a bear-resistant bin, but the back end of this is fewer bears in the area and fewer dead bears all over. So again, I understand, but it is something that I think is absolutely necessary for the protection of the RN itself and its residents.
Thank you, Steve. Anything else? Is that a yes or no, Wayne? I'm just
That's
saying.
my laptop argument.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Be it resolved that the August 17th, 2021 regular council meeting be adjourned. Next regular council meeting to be held September 7th, 2021, 7 p.m. at East Beach's Social Scene in Victoria Beach. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Second, Graham, thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all very much. It's great to see you all again in person.
Hey, I don't know.